Hi, my name is Jack Grzinski and I make videos on the internet. Jurassic Park has to be my favorite movie of all time. It's gotten to the point where part of the fun of watching it is trying to recite all of the lines as they come up from memory. I have clothes, figures, props, stickers, and even this really cool poster that shows all of the colors used in the movie. Thanks, Brad. And with this intense love for all things Jurassic, I must say,
the sequels have never lived up to the original.
I don't think that take is too controversial. In fact, it may be the one thing that all of film Twitter is able to agree on. You'd think dinosaurs in the modern day would make for a surefire hit every time, but all we've gotten is one masterpiece, 2 meh movies, and 3 that I can't even talk about without taking nausea medication. Now, it may just be that Jurassic Park is such a singularly good movie, arguably perfect, that it's impossible to replicate, but I don't think that's true. I think it comes down to the fact that very few of the sequels have ever tried to expand upon the themes of the original. As we've already talked about on this channel, a good sequel expands and complicates on the themes of its predecessor, and all of the Jurassic Park sequels fail to do this. But I do think that it can be done. It just wasn't. So first, let's talk about what made Jurassic Park so good, then how the sequels failed, and lastly, what they should have done instead. As I've already said, Jurassic Park is kind of a perfect movie. It has intense action, strong themes, and engrossing character arcs from Dr. Grant and John Hammond. Not to mention the state-of-the-art effects that still look amazing almost 30 years later. There is almost nothing you can point out about this movie that is actually bad, but what I want to talk about is how the creators layered complex themes into their plot and the threads of those themes that could have led to a sequel or two. The best movies have one line that encapsulates all the themes of the film. Jurassic Park has 2, and they are both spoken by 90s heartthrob Jeff Goldblum as his iconic character, Ian Malcolm.
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way. Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
These 2 lines condense one of the main ideas of the film, that if you try to control nature, it will fight back, and you will lose. This theme is enhanced by Malcolm's constant yammering about chaos theory, which is demonstrated by the plot of the film. It is also linked to ideas of anti-capitalism, parenthood, and genetic power. You see, Jurassic Park is kind of like an ogre. It has layers, and those layers of theme and ideology make this a movie you can watch over and over again and always leave with something new. But are there questions that it left unanswered? Of course there are, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. The main question that Jurassic Park asks is, should we use genetic power? Honestly, I could end it there, but the full question is, should we use genetic power to resurrect extinct animals? And the answer is a resounding no. And while the movie doesn't allow for a lot of nuances within that answer, it does leave some lingering threads that we can use. Namely, what happens now that we've already used this power, and what happens when we take the next step. But before we get into that, let's quickly run down how the sequels failed to do anything with the lingering threads of the original. The Lost World isn't a bad movie. It's fun, has some clever characters, and a few cool set pieces, but it just feels like such a step down from Jurassic Park. Having a second island has to be the most cash grab cop-out in movie history, and the themes of the original were seemingly set aside to make room for the second T-Rex. Also, Hammond wanting Malcolm on the island makes absolutely no sense. The man was completely useless in the original unless he was reading from a schematic. I have a lot of nostalgia for The Lost World, but that's about it. I gotta say, I love the balls on Universal for using a subtitle in the second movie of this trilogy, but then just going right back to numbered titles for the third one. It's absolutely insane. You would never see that happen now. This movie drops all pretense of theme except for the obligatory broken family trope and is kind of just a monster movie with Dr. Grant. As a collection of set pieces, it's pretty fun, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it, just like The Lost World, but it's by no means a good movie. I appreciate that Jurassic World at least tried to advance the themes of the first movie. You'll see how much I appreciate it in a little bit. But its blandness and weird misogyny really do weigh it down. And also, military dinos has to be the single dumbest side plot of the 2010s. If each half of Fallen Kingdom was made into its own 2-hour movie, I would thoroughly enjoy both of them. But they weren't. What feels like two completely different films are jammed into one weird shitfest. And while it tries to have themes, they completely clash with the entire premise of the series. I don't have enough energy to go into why Dominion sucks. I went over it in detail on my TikTok page. Go check it out there. I think the perfect sequel to Jurassic Park would deal with the rights of the animals created by InGen. We know that they shouldn't have been made, but they were. They're alive now. So what do we do with them? I'd also like to continue the anti-capitalist themes of the first one by expanding on the idea of if corporations can own life. And we're going to do all of this while utilizing the most obvious title for a movie about dinosaurs that was somehow never used, Jurassic Park Extinction. I really like coming up with titles. It's by far my favorite part about all of this, making the titles. It's fun, it makes me feel good. The basic plot of Extinction revolves around a small team of ex-soldiers, a wildlife veterinarian, and an animal behavior expert who are brought together by InGen to save a group of civilians who have wandered onto Isla Nublar. If I had my way, the animal behavior expert would be Sarah Harding, the same character from The Lost World. I just think she's absolutely charming, and I love how Julianne Moore played her. Plus, we can still have her be like the ex-girlfriend of Ian Malcolm, who might be trying to make him mad by going to the island that caused him so much pain. I think that would be a fun side plot. I want this movie to be the Aliens to Jurassic Park's Alien. Where the first one emphasized horror and suspense, we will focus on action. When they reach the island and the civilians, the leader of the InGen group kills them, and it turns out they weren't civilians at all. They were actually Biosyn employees on the island to get the dinosaurs' DNA so they could use it in their aggressive takeover of InGen. The team's hidden goal was to kill the Biosyn employees and to trigger the island's last option failsafe, the Inferno Protocol. They're going to set off Isla Nublar's volcano and wipe out all of the dinosaurs so Biosyn can't get their hands on them. This is where we get our questions of whether these animals have a right to live and whether they should be considered InGen property. I know what you're thinking. Isn't that exactly what happened in Fallen Kingdom? And yeah, it kind of is, except for one major difference. In Fallen Kingdom, the volcano was going off naturally, so allowing the dinosaurs to die of natural causes like they did the first time makes sense. Nature has once again selected them for destruction. But when it's a switch, flipped by men who think they own these animals and can choose if they live or die, that is a different story. That opens us up to questions of, do you have the right to destroy something that you've created? Should all unnatural things be exterminated? And what rights do monsters have? Skipping past all of the fun stuff, the movie will end with Sarah being given the power to trigger the Inferno Protocol and choosing not to. One of the people near her will say, "They were never meant to be alive," and she will respond, "But they are." But this doesn't mean that it's a wholly justified ending. As they escape the island, Sarah will look down and wonder if she made the right decision or not. But in the end, it'll be left up to the audience. Until the third movie, where we make it very clear that it wasn't the right decision. Other little things I'd like to add into this movie that have nothing to do with theme would be the Spinosaurus being the main dinosaur of the movie, the group having to go through the pterosaur cage like in Jurassic Park 3, and the raptors chasing them through the dark tunnels of the volcano. I just think all that stuff would be cool, and I'd like to see it. Thank you very much. Oh, and I would like to have Sarah note that the dinosaurs aren't acting like paleontologists thought they would to enforce the idea that they are essentially brand new, unique animals. The final movie of this trilogy will essentially just be Jurassic World. Like I said, I enjoyed a lot of the ideas that movie had. It makes sense that once genetic power was unleashed, capitalists would never stop until they found a way to commercialize it. It also makes sense that they wouldn't be able to stop themselves at just resurrecting dinosaurs. They would have to take that next step, which is the lingering question we would address. How far can you go before you have to put the genie back in the bottle? This movie's main trio will all see the dinosaurs differently. I do want Claire to be the main character, except without the weirdly sexist undertones, and she can wear flats once the action gets started. Claire will see the dinosaurs as assets, meant to make Jurassic World money. Then there's Owen, who sees them as animals, almost like in a zoo. And then there's Taylor, who was one of the geneticists who worked on the Indominus Rex, who sees the dinosaurs as hybrid monsters. The main idea of the plot will stay the same. Jurassic World, now owned and operated by Biosyn rather than Masrani, has created the Indominus Rex due to what they see as declining interest. But the Indominus is too smart, and their hubris strikes back at them when it escapes. Maybe Taylor can be like a whistleblower that tells Claire how smart the Indominus really is. The Indominus is an absolute menace in this movie, even more so than it was in the original. It has a purpose now. It is actively targeting the dinosaurs because it believes itself to be superior to them. Don't get me wrong, it's killing humans too, but this thing wants to kill the dinosaurs. We got a pretty good amount of theme park chaos in the real Jurassic World, but I'd like to turn it up to 11. Instead of just pterosaurs, let's have herbivores, carnivores, fucking fish dinosaurs, I don't give a shit. Have Barney show up and kill a few kids, that'd be fun. Earlier in the movie, the Indominus kills the Spinosaurus from extinction, but its final test is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh, by the way, the T-Rex was in extinction. I didn't say where, and I don't know where, but it's there. It has to be. It's the T-Rex. Of course it's gotta be there somewhere. Much like in the real movie, Claire lures out Rexy to distract the Indominus while they all escape. I know it's really heavy-handed, but I love the idea of Rexy killing the Indominus, especially because in this movie, after defeating her foe, she will also die from her wounds. Actually, all of the dinosaurs are going to die in this movie, either killed by the Indominus or by people trying to protect the civilians. The era of dinosaurs living alongside man ends with Jurassic World. By the end of the film, Claire, Owen, and Taylor all learn that their preconceived notions about the dinosaurs were wrong. They're not animals, they're not monsters, and they're definitely not assets. They are completely unique beings, something the world wasn't ready for. But maybe one day they'll have their time in the sun again. Damn, that would have been a really, really good place to end this, but I did want to address the raptor training from the original Jurassic World. I actually don't hate it as long as we get rid of the ridiculously dumb military side plot. I think it helps to enforce that the dinosaurs are more than just animals. Plus, Owen and Blue's relationship is absolutely adorable, and I'd like to preserve it. Maybe we could have her die heroically to save him in some way. So yeah, that is my Jurassic Park trilogy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Episode 3 should be coming pretty soon. Maybe. I don't know when I'm releasing this, and I have no idea how far along I will be by the time I release this. Hopefully pretty far along, because those always take me forever. I also don't know how to end these videos. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've watched it's very awkward trying to end these. It's like maybe I should just end it right